Of course, this morning there is no markets. We have Juneteenth, and so some people are taking off today. But we do have news, and I'm going to start with this because it's probably one of the more ridiculous things that the news is reporting today. Reporting yesterday actually started, and this is from Reuters. A lot of people reporting this non-story. A group of Democratic Texas lawmakers has asked Tesla to delay its much anticipated robotaxi launch in Austin until September, when a new autonomous driving law is scheduled to take effect. Okay, let's start with the headline. These guys were, at least Reuters was at least on enough to say that it was a group of Democratic Texas lawmakers. But what they didn't say was it was a grand total of seven Democratic lawmakers who put together this letter and sent it over to Tesla, having about as much impact on Tesla, I'm sure, as if I say something, maybe less. This group of Austin area lawmakers said in a letter signed on Wednesday that delaying the launch, which CEO Elon Musk said could tentatively happen this Sunday, is in the best interest of both public safety and building public trust in Tesla's operations. If Tesla decides to move forward with a launch this month, the lawmakers asked that Tesla respond with detailed information demonstrating how Tesla will comply with the new state's law when it launches. Musk last year staked Tesla's future on autonomous driving technology as it pivoted away from chasing rapid growth in electric vehicle sales. Tesla did not immediately respond to requests for comments on the letter. It's unclear how much weight a letter from Democratic lawmakers will carry in a state where Republicans hold the governorship and serious majorities in both legislative chambers. Musk announced in January that Tesla would be offering autonomous ride-hailing in June. And since then, the Austin rollout has been closely watched by investors and analysts, many of whom attribute the majority of Tesla's stock market value to hopes for robotaxi and humanoid robots, which the company has yet to deliver. Current Texas law allows autonomous vehicle firms to operate their vehicles anywhere in Texas as long as the vehicles meet basic registration and insurance requirements. The new legislation, which passed the Texas legislature last month and has not yet been signed by the governor, would for the first time require autonomous vehicle companies to apply for authorization to operate in the state. It would give state authorities the power to revoke permits if they deem a driverless vehicle endangering the public. Of course, Tesla has already talked to the Department of Transportation in Texas, as well as the local Austin officials, and apparently has made them all feel just fine. Quote, firms are also required to provide the state information on how police and first responders can deal with the vehicles in emergency situations, which, as I'm sure you well know, Tesla has done. Musk and Tesla have given few details about their plans for the Austin robotaxi launch. The CEO said the Austin rollout would begin with 10 to 20 vehicles, and the company will begin operating in only the parts of Austin that we consider be the safest, end quote. Musk and Tesla have not said who the passenger will be, how Tesla will charge for the rides, or where in Austin they will operate. That's pretty easy to tell based on the vehicles that are moving around Austin right now. If you're on X, I'm sure you've seen many people pointing out vehicles moving around Austin the last couple of weeks. This is from TC Mesla, says Tesla's next generation FSD chip, the HW5, also known as AI5, has entered mass production. The HW5 chip is being jointly manufactured by TSMC and Samsung, utilizing the 3-nanometer NRP process. It boasts a performance of 2,000 to 2,500 TOPS, which is 5 times that of the current HW4 chip, enabling support for more complex, unsupervised FSD algorithms. In addition, Tesla plans to upgrade the FSD cameras for hardware kits equipped with HW5. The new cameras will feature Samsung's weatherproof lens, which includes a built-in heating element capable of melting ice and snow within 1 minute, reducing image distortion. The lens coating is 6 times stronger than that of current Model Y cameras and possesses hydrophobic properties, allowing for faster clearing of melted snow or ice water. Interesting. Well, on Wednesday, June 18th at approximately 11 p.m., according to SpaceX, the Starship, preparing for its 10th flight test, experienced a major anomaly while on a test stand at Starbase. A safety clear area around the site was maintained throughout the operation. All personnel are safe and accounted for. Our Starbase team is actively working to save the site and immediately surrounding area in conjunction with local officials. There are no hazards to residents and surrounding communities, and we ask that individuals not go near the area. This was a massive explosion. If you've seen pictures, you can go to X if you haven't seen them yet. It was a big deal, and Elon responds. He says, "Just a scratch." This is Randy Kirk. You knew that, right? Hit subscribe, notify. Later on today, we will have, of course, as far as I know anyway, we'll have Bradford Ferguson followed, and that'll be, in the afternoon, probably about 5:15, something like that. And then we'll have Nicholas Gibbs. No, I'm completely wrong. Cern Basher at 7:45. Of course, you love the Cern show. And of course, Bradford also. According to thank you. I had a couple of people signing up for Patreon yesterday. One person increasing their numbers and another person joining. I'll post those names later today. And if you join Patreon, when you join Patreon, I do post your name at least once, and I appreciate you guys for stepping up. Again, it's really all about whether this is helping you or not. If it's not helping you, please do not join Patreon. If it is helping you, make decisions, think about things, entertain you for a minute. I mean, remember in the old days when you had to pay for a magazine? Yeah, I had lots of subscriptions in the back of the day. Market Watch. It will be the first monthly options expiration to take place one day after a market holiday since at least 2000, according to data. It seemed like that would be very easy data to determine. On Friday, options traders will face something unprecedented, a monthly options expiration event coming one day after a holiday. Contracts tied to more than 6 trillion in stocks, ETFs, and indexes are due to expire during the latest triple witching options expiration event, potentially the largest sum on record, according to data from Spot Gamma. The quarterly undertaking is typically associated with higher trading volumes and greater volatility. But the June event will take place one day after Thursday's Juneteenth markets holiday, and monthly options expiration event has never before done such a thing. There have been numerous examples where monthly expirations occurred on a Friday before a long holiday weekend. On the other hand, it has the potential to be a low volume day. A lot of people will probably take Friday off and make it a long weekend, said Brent Kenwall, a U.S. investment analyst at eToro. But triple witching days are usually one of the most high volume days of the entire quarter, so it does have the potential for maybe wackier moves and maybe some bumpiness. Adding to, like, we need more of that, given that we have, Iran. Supposedly the war in Iran, between Iran and Israel, should be over on Friday. And so that's what we've been told. Adding to the uncertainty, the latest bout of volatility inspired by the Israel-Iran conflict has pushed the CBOE volatility index, the VIX, back over 20, which is a level roughly equivalent to the long-term average. It's been like down in the teens during some parts of the week, but now back over 20. Higher volatility tends to push the premiums that traders pay for options contracts higher. The VIX is based on activity in options tied to the S&P 500. Brent Kochuba, founder of Spot Gamma, said he had initially expected volatility to subside heading into Thursday's holiday, but that may not be in the cards due to geopolitical issues, he says. U.S. stocks were trading higher on Wednesday afternoon as Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell held his regular press conference following the conclusion of the central bank's two-day policy meeting, but it fell off at the very end. I don't know if it's going to say that. The S&P 500 index was up 20 points, or 0.3 at 6,002. According to FactSet data, the Dow Jones Industrial Average was up by 122 points, or 0.3, and the NASDAQ Composite was up by 113 points. Is that how it ended? I'm sorry. I thought it ended down yesterday. The Dow Jones ended down 44.14. S&P ended down 1.85. Where are they getting these numbers? And it's true that the NASDAQ ended up 26. Yeah, the S&P was under 6,000, 5,980. So I don't know where they're getting that information. After the Fed chairman spoke, the market went down. So I'm going to repeat myself here in just a second. I'm going to repeat what I said, something I said yesterday, because I think it's important. I think it's important that we say it. I think I'm going to post it on X again today, maybe with some more commentary. I'm not sure. This is something that I don't see any other reporting on. But let me just ask you, please comment on this. I want to know if you see the same thing I'm seeing. And so before I do this rant again, let me just give you three metrics that the only three metrics that are available today. The president is still at 52%, although his overnights were higher again. Trueflation is at 2.11, and Bitcoin is up about 500 points this morning. All right, now I am going to make the claim. I'm going to say this again. I know I said it last night, but I'm going to say it again. The Fed is making their decision with regard to whether or not to raise interest rates or lower interest rates or do something with interest rates. They're making it based on one fact, only one data point, apparently. Well, okay, sure. They're taking into consideration that right now payrolls are about where they've been. The number of unemployed is about where it's been. The data that they have concurrent right now in the market looks okay when it comes to employment. They said that. Okay. And that's an important metric. Obvious. Okay. They also say, of course, that they have to make it based on inflationary data, and their inflationary data couldn't be better. There's no way. It's down around 0. It's down around 1 for the last 3 months. And the last 6 months is great. The last year is very close to coming into their 2% area. And their projections for the rest of the year, they just raised by 0.6 of a point. So they were sitting at 2.5, they believe, for the rest of the, I think it was 2.5 or 2.6. They thought that by the end of the year, that's where they would be on core PCE. They raised that to 3.1, I believe. I hope I have that right. But whatever it was, they raised that by 0.6%. 100% of that raise, 100% of that increase was based on tariff activity, which they acknowledge is transitory. If they get that 0.6, and they can't be sure that they're going to get a 0.6, they said themselves they don't know what's going to happen, that one of the reasons they're not making any changes is because they don't know what's going to happen with tariffs, but they're making this assumption that it's going to go up even though they don't know. That's what I understand. I don't believe I'm mischaracterizing what Mr. Powell said. So they don't know. So they're going to make this projection of 0.6%, by the way, which I think is right. But I do agree with the number. It's probably a little lower than that. It's probably 0.4. But I do believe there will be a raise in prices by the end of the year based on tariffs around 0.4%. I've been saying that for months and months and months. They finally came in with a number. Their number is 0.6. I feel pretty good about that, even though it's the Fed. Anyway, but that number I think is fair and reasonable and possible. All right. But it's transitory. They said so. Powell said, probably has no long-term impact. Okay, so you've made these statements. It's maybe going to go up 0.6. It has no long-term impact. Maybe it does. Maybe a small one. It might create some kind of anticipation of further inflation. But no, that's all the inflation we're looking for. And it's going to go away. So next year is going to be fine. So that's how they're making their decision. But they did not take any, they said this, they're not taking into consideration anything with regard to the reconciliation bill, which absolutely will impact inflation, absolutely will potentially impact jobs, because, of course, you're changing the budget dramatically. You're reorganizing the government. You're reorganizing what you're paying and what you're not paying for. You're increasing the budget to the military. You're increasing the budget to the homeland, the border wall. You're decreasing other budgets. And so it's going to have an impact, but they're not making any decision. They're not taking that into consideration in terms of how they're making their decision, or at least that's what they said. Then they have no consideration at all of revenue income from tariffs. So they're going to take a look at the tariff thing, which they have no ability to, they say they can't guess, but they could also not guess, or they could take into consideration the roughly $300 billion that it looks like will be incoming new revenues from tariffs, which the Treasury Department has estimated. So they've got a metric. They can go to the Treasury Department, and we know that Scott Bessent is probably the most respected guy on either side of the aisle in this area, not Chairman Powell. But they're not going to take that into consideration. They're not going to take into consideration the cuts by DOGE. I don't know why. They can look at the cuts. They can see that there's already been layoffs of government employees. They know that there's not going to be increases in government employees this year. They know there's probably going to be decreases in government employees. Apparently, that's not part of how they're making their decision. They mentioned about illegal immigration. They know it's pretty obvious. They've had 0 people coming across the border last month and being allowed into the country. 0, which is a lot different than hundreds of thousands. And some people are going back. We know that for a fact, and they should be able to make some estimates on that. Now, that illegal immigration is impacting the economy. It's impacting jobs, and it will impact inflation. There's no doubt about it. It will, in particular, impact housing, but it impacts the general economy. If you don't add lots and lots and lots more people, and you potentially subtract people, it's going to have an impact. And then they say, there's this AI thing happening. I feel like these guys are a bunch of boomers. Oh, well, we've got this AI thing that's coming along, and some people think it's going to have an impact. Oh, yeah. Leaders in AI, the largest companies in the world, are coming out almost daily talking about the fact that it's maybe already is. There are layoffs happening. They were announced today at, I think it was, I'm going to get it wrong, so I'm not going to say. One of the top 7, the Magnificent 7, said today they're going to have additional layoffs, significant layoffs because of AI in sales, for instance. We know that there's going to be job loss as a result of AI, but they do not have a department. This is the craziest one of all. They don't have a committee. They don't have a group. He said so. They're not studying it. They don't have an analysis. Oh, they don't know what's going to happen with tariffs either, but they're going to make a decision based on the fact that they don't know what's going to happen with tariffs because they're confused and they don't know what's going to happen. But they don't know what's going to happen with AI, but they haven't studied that, and they're not going to make any part of their decision based on AI. AI could dramatically reduce or increase the unemployment numbers between now and the end of the year. That there are many, 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 many powerful and influential people saying that they believe it's going to cut right across from white collar all the way down to blue collar, that there's going to be cuts as a result of AI that are imminent, that are happening now, and that will get worse. This is a data point, but they're not going to consider it. They're not even going to study it. With regard to inflation, there are many, many, many economists that are saying that this could be one of the most important events in history with regard to productivity. Great productivity results in what? Lower inflation. So what we're looking at on AI is the potential for job loss and lower inflation, both of which would suggest that you need to lower interest rates. Both of those things. The only 2 things, Fed, that you have to consider every single time that you make a decision is that this AI revolution could reduce employment and could reduce inflation. The only 2 things you care about, and you don't even have a study group about it? I can't figure this out. Can you figure this out? Let me know what you think in the comments below. I can't figure this out except for idiocy, okay, incompetence, foolishness, boomerism. I'm sorry, I'm a boomer, but it sounds like a bunch of boomers who are worried about the issues of the past and not paying any attention to the issue of the day, the most important thing going on in the economy today. They're not even studying. This is bizarre. I just don't know what to say. All right. That's all I got for you right now. Be sure to come back and see Brad Ferguson later on today, followed by Sir Basher. Last night, of course, if you missed it, you do need to go back. I'm going to put right here. Here's the card. Go back and see Brian Wong. He and I had a phenomenal discussion about the future, not about the past, about the future and what's going to happen with SpaceX, what's going to happen with AI, what's going to happen with Tesla, what's going to happen with drones, what's going to happen with all kinds of ways that those combinations might impact your future as well as your portfolio. It's been great, as always, talking to you.